Hello students, welcome to part 5 of the video. This is chapter number 11, Human Body and Organ System for Standard 8th. Subject is Science. After learning about the heart and blood vessels, we shall now be learning about the blood vessels that enter the heart and leave the heart. This is the structure of the heart. We know that the heart is divided into 4 chambers: the right atrium, the left atrium, the right ventricle, and the left ventricle. So there are various blood vessels which bring blood and which take away blood from the heart. There are these two large veins called as the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. These two large veins bring deoxygenated blood into the right atrium. The blood from the right ventricle is carried by a artery called as a pulmonary artery to the lungs for purification. In the left atrium you can see 4 veins opening up. These veins are called as the pulmonary veins, and these veins bring pure blood from the lungs into the left atrium. From the left ventricle, the blood is carried by the largest artery called as the aorta to the different parts of the body. So there are these 4 different kinds of blood vessels called as the superior and inferior vena cava, the pulmonary veins, the pulmonary artery, and the aorta, which bring blood or which take away the blood from the heart. So let us see how the circulation of blood takes place in the heart. If we take a closer look at the blood circulatory system, this is the heart. The heart has 4 chambers. This is the right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. Valve present between the right atrium and right ventricle is a tricuspid valve. There is a valve which is present between the left atrium and the left ventricle, which is called as a bicuspid valve or the mitral valve. This is the vein called as a vena cava, superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, which enter into the right atrium. These veins bring deoxygenated blood into the right atrium. From the right atrium, the blood will move into the right ventricle. After the blood enters the right ventricle, the blood will be pumped by the pulmonary arteries into the lungs. In the left atrium, the 4 pulmonary veins will bring oxygenated blood into the left atrium. From the left atrium, the blood will move into the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle, the blood will be carried by the aorta to the different parts of the body. So now let us see the mechanism of blood circulation in the heart. So this begins with the relaxation of the atria. When the atria relaxes, the ventricles contract. And what happens when the atria relaxes? When the atria relaxes, the vena cava will bring deoxygenated blood into the right atrium, and the 4 pulmonary veins will bring oxygenated blood into the left atrium. Okay, now after this relaxation of the atrium, so what is happening when the atria is relaxing? The ventricles are contracting. So the blood is brought into the right atrium and the left atrium, right? Now it is time for the atria to contract and the ventricles to relax. So when ventricles relax, the cuspid valves open, blood from right atrium enters into the right ventricle, and blood from the left atrium enters into the left ventricle. Okay, now relaxation of the ventricle is done, and contraction of the atria is also over. So now it will be time for the atria to relax and the ventricles to contract. When the ventricles contract, then they become empty. Why? Because the blood from the right ventricle will enter into the pulmonary arteries, which will be carried to the lungs for purification, and blood from the left ventricle will be pumped into the aorta, which will be carried to the different parts of the body. Now when the blood reaches the different parts of the body, it becomes impure. So once again, when the atria will relax, the blood will be brought by the superior and inferior vena cava into the right atrium, and by the pulmonary veins into the left atrium. Once again, the atria will contract and the ventricles will relax. So blood will flow from the atrium into the ventricles. When the ventricles contract and the atria relax, the blood will be pumped from the ventricle into the pulmonary artery here and into the aorta here to the different parts of the body. So this is how continuous pumping of the blood takes place in the body. Blood enters the heart twice. First, the impure blood enters the right side of the heart. From the right side of the heart, the blood is carried to the lungs for purification, and after the blood is oxygenated, the pure or the oxygenated blood is brought to the left side of the heart. So blood enters the heart twice, and therefore this circulation is called as double circulation. So now we can define the term blood circulation, the process of pumping blood to the various parts of the body and also bringing the blood from the various parts of the body back to the heart is called as blood circulation. The alternate contraction and relaxation of heart in a definite rhythm is called as the heartbeat. Each heartbeat consists of two steps, which is called as the systole and the diastole. First, let us see the contraction of the heart. First, the atria contract, and the contraction of the atria is followed by the contraction of the ventricles. And this contraction phase of the atria followed by the contraction of the ventricles is called as the systole. Once the contraction phase is over, then comes the relaxation phase. That is, the ventricles relax, and this relaxation of the ventricles is followed by the relaxation of the atria. रिलैक्सेशन यानी विश्राम करना और कॉन्ट्रैक्शन मतलब संकुचित होना. तो जब वेंट्रिकल्स रिलैक्स होते हैं उसके बाद एट्रिया रिलैक्स होते हैं. तो दिस रिलैक्सेशन फेज ऑफ द एट्रियम एंड द वेंट्रिकल is called as the diastole. In a normal adult, the heart which is at rest beats around 60 to 100 times per minute. So in a day, the heart beats nearly 1,03,680 times. If you hear your heart sound by placing a stethoscope on your chest, you will hear two sounds, lub and dub, and they are heard in short succession followed by a gap. The first sound produced is lub, and this happens when the tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve get sharply closed. Here you can see the closing of the tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve. So when the tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve sharply close at the time of ventricular contraction, then the sound produced is the lub. The second sound produced is the dub, and this is produced at the beginning of the ventricular diastole. Diastole means ventricular relaxation, and this happens when the pulmonary semilunar valve and the aortic semilunar valve sharply close. So lub and dub are the two sounds which are produced by the heart in short succession followed by a gap. Blood flows in the arteries with greater pressure, and when blood flows with greater pressure in the arteries, then the blood exerts pressure on the walls of the arteries, and this pressure which is exerted by the flowing blood on the walls of the arteries during the contraction of the heart is called as the systolic phase of the heart. So the pressure exerted by the flowing blood on the walls of the arteries during contraction of the heart is called as blood pressure. The pressure of the blood in the artery at the time of ventricular contraction is called as the systolic pressure. You know the contraction phase of the arteries and the atrium and the ventricle is called as the systole. So when the ventricles contract, the pressure which is exerted by the blood in the artery is called as the systolic pressure. So the systolic pressure in a normal human being is 120 mm of Hg. So this is considered as the high blood pressure. Whereas the pressure which is exerted on the walls of the artery during the ventricular relaxation, that is the diastolic phase. When the arteries and the ventricles relax, the phase is called as a diastolic phase. So when the ventricular relaxation takes place, the pressure which is exerted by the blood on the walls of the artery is called as a diastolic pressure. In a normal human being, the diastolic pressure is 80 mm of Hg. So this is considered as the low blood pressure. So the blood pressure of a healthy person ranges from 120 to 80 mm Hg to 139 to 89 mm of Hg. That means the high blood pressure can be in the range of 120 to 139 and the low blood pressure can be in the range of 80 to 89. When there is an increase in both the systolic pressure and the diastolic pressure, that is when the pressure increases above 140 on the higher side and above 89 on the lower side, then high values of blood pressure is called as high BP, or high BP is also called as hypertension. To measure blood pressure, there is an instrument and the name of this instrument is sphygmomanometer. You must have heard about the term pulse rate. Pulse or pulse rate is nothing but a heart rate. It tells us the number of times a heart beats in 1 minute. The pulse rate differs from person to person. Our pulse rate is low when we are at rest, and when we are exercising, the body uses up enough oxygen and therefore at that time the pulse rate goes down. You can easily check your pulse on inside of your wrist. For this, you need to gently place two fingers of your other hand on this particular artery, as you can see in the figure. Do not use your thumb because the thumb has its own pulse that you may feel. So by placing the two fingers on the wrist, you can count the beats for 30 seconds and then you can double the result to get the number of beats per minute. I have already mentioned earlier, in adults the heartbeat is 60 to 100 beats per minute, whereas in children it is about 70 to 100 beats per minute. Sometimes it becomes necessary to inject blood into the body of a patient who is undergoing surgery or operation. And this process of injecting blood into the body of a patient is called as blood transfusion. It is also possible that a person might meet with an accident and profuse bleeding can take place through the wounds. So such a person will also need blood transfusion. Similarly, blood transfusion is also needed in case of patients who have anemia, thalassemia, cancer, etc. Thalassemia is a hereditary disorder where the person has less than the normal number of RBCs in the blood. So if any patient is in need of blood, where will his relatives go looking out for blood? For this, there are centers called as blood banks. A blood bank is a center where blood is collected as a result of the blood donation. This blood is preserved for later use so that this blood can be used for transfusion. So, in the blood bank, the donated blood is first collected, it is processed, it is tested for any kind of virus or bacteria present in it. The blood is separated, the cells basically are separated from the blood, and then it is stored. The person who donates blood is called as a donor, and the person who receives blood is called as a recipient. During blood transfusion, it is necessary that the type of blood that has to be transfused should match with that of the patient. So depending upon the proteins like the antigens and the antibodies present in the blood groups can be grouped into two systems. We have the ABO system and the RH system. Now what are antigens? Antigens are substances that cause our immune system to produce antibodies against it. It is any substance to which our body's immune system immediately responds. So the red cells or the red blood cells of any individual contains antigen on its surface, and the presence of that particular antigen corresponds to the type of blood group the person will have. So according to the ABO system, we have four different types of blood groups. They are A, B, AB and O. Then there is one more additional factor which is called as the RH factor, and that RH factor depends upon the presence or absence of the antigen. If the antigen is present, then the blood group will be termed as positive. If the antigen is absent, then the blood group will be termed as negative. So depending upon the presence or absence of the antigen or the RH factor present in the blood, we have now 8 different types of blood groups. They are A positive, A negative, B positive, B negative, AB positive, AB negative, O positive and O negative. This is the compatibility chart of ABO blood group. These are the 4 blood groups of the donor, and these are the 4 blood groups of the recipient A, B, AB and O. Now you will find that a person with O type of blood group can give blood to persons of all the 4 types of blood group. That is, person with O type of blood group can give blood to a person with A type, B type, AB type and O type of blood group. Therefore, a person with O type of blood group is called as a universal donor. Similarly, a person with AB type of blood group can receive blood from all the types. That is, for a person with AB type of blood group, the person can receive blood from a person having blood group A or blood group B or blood group AB or blood group O. So a person with blood group AB is called as a universal recipient. A person with A type of blood can receive blood only from A type and O type of blood group. Similarly, a person having B type of blood group can receive blood only from B type and O type of blood group. The person who has blood group A has an antigen called as A present on the red cell and antibody B in the plasma region. A person with blood group B has antigen B on the red blood cell but antibody A in the plasma. Person having blood group AB has both the antigens A and B on the red cells, but there is no antibody, so neither antibody A nor antibody B is present in the plasma. Blood group O has neither AB antigen on the red cells, but both A and B antibodies are present in the plasma. So this is how the different types of blood groups are identified or recognized by the presence of antigen which is present on the red cells and the antibody which will be present in the plasma. The Rh factor, which is also called as the rhesus factor, is an important characteristic of blood cells because it tells us whether the blood of two different people is compatible or not when mixed. The Rh factor was originally an abbreviation of the rhesus factor, and this factor was discovered in 1937 by these duo scientists, scientist names are Karl Landsteiner and Alexander Wiener. They believed that this antigen which is found in the human body was similar to that of the antigen which was found in the rhesus monkey, the red blood cells of the rhesus monkey. Subsequently, it was discovered that the human factor or the antigen which is present in the RBCs of the human beings is not identical to that of the uh, antigen which is present in the rhesus monkey. But by then the term rhesus was already spread far and wide, and therefore the term rhesus still exists and is still attached with the type of blood group.